Hey friends, autumn is here and I am so excited to share with you my warm autumn or true autumn seasonal color analysis makeup tutorial. I've sprinkled in some emerging trends for fall 2025. So if you want to learn how to take your warm true autumn color palette and create a beautiful look, or if you want to try these looks with any of the colors that work for you, then let's stay tuned. We're going to get cozy, get comfortable, and jump right into this video. Let's start with today's warm true autumn video. I have already done my complexion makeup off camera. I needed to take my coloring as warm as I could for this video, so it took some trial and error, but we got there. Now I need to add a little bit of something to the lips because I needed to blank out my lip tone because it was quite a bit cooler than the rest of the complexion. So we're gonna start with a little bit of lipstick. This is the Lisa Eldridge True Velvet Lip Color in Velvet Fawn. This makes me feel a lot more lively, and it's so interesting. This shade is a shade that with my base coloring and no tweaks with adjusting my warmth as being true to my natural tones, this shade pulls quite warm. But here we can see it's almost not warm enough for the warmth of this palette, because warm true autumn as well as warm or true spring are the two warmest. Their warmth is turned all the way up to these pure golden pigments. This could work, especially if you want to add something a little bit more moody, but this is the shade that would work really well as a nice everyday soft muted autumn shade, or you could even use this as a soft pale almost like Bordeaux lip for a deep dark autumn. Today I think it's worked really nice with the look I have in mind. When I was planning out today's video, it threw me for a little bit of a loop because my makeup collection, as time goes on, as I move things in and out, a lot of my warm true colors are kind of phasing out of my collection just because I don't wear them and either they hit a point where they need to be let go of, or I give them to people that they could better serve. So today I thought it'd be fun to really maximize what I have in my collection that serves the overall goal and aim of the color palette, as well as focusing on some of the upcoming trends I've been hearing whisperings about for autumn 2025. So the first one I want to look at is the soft matte trend. We're moving away from these overly glossy, glassy skins, and everything is a soft, velvety finish. Almost, you could think of it like the trendy, like cloud skin. And another thing we've been seeing a lot of is watercolor diffusion. So very thin layers blending and melting into each other seamlessly. I want to start with a nice rosy bronze base. This is going to help lay a foundation down for blush, highlight, and bronzer, and it's going to help create a base to anchor the eyes into the look. This is the Chanel Jus Contrast blush, and this is a number 2 rose bronze. Since I want this to be a soft diffused color, when I pick up the powder, I like to start by working into my hand and then back to my face. And if I need to, I can pick up more as I go. I have powdered my skin so it is nice and set, so I don't have to be overly careful with my application of the shade, because this shade is almost to be like a transitional tone for all the cheek colors, and we're using this transitional tone for the eyes. All we're looking for in this step is you want to find a blush color or a bronzer color. You want something that is your skin but slightly deeper, and something that has a little bit of a warm rosiness for your skin tone. That could be anything from a rosy pink red to a soft terracotta. And you want to apply this shade very lightly. You shouldn't really be able to see a huge difference when the shade first goes on. You want to apply it in a very soft, diffused way all over the skin. So this is going to be applied to the face, to the neck. If you want to, you can even apply a little bit to the chest. With this watercolor trend, we want very soft layers. And also, with things being more matte than they have in the past, things being more matte, that's going to lower the overall contrast by way of these similar textures. The autumn color palette is low contrast in itself, which is great for this trend. This soft, powdery, blurred trend goes so beautifully well with the summer and autumn seasonal color palettes. But let's add some fun, let's add some variety. This is your option to grab some of your favorite shades, or maybe even shades in your collection that you don't use, and give them a new life. Play with them to make them something custom and perfect for you. I'm gonna use a large fluffy blending brush, and I'm gonna use that same shade that I just used on the cheeks, and I want to use this high in the socket line, and I'm going to work this all all across the upper ridge into the front of the brow, moving to the corner of the nose and the outer portion of the brow bone or the socket bone. If you're someone who wants a little bit more color payoff, you can tap the powder on and then blend. But if you are just working on how to build your shades and you're not overly confident with your blending yet, these soft windshield wiping motions and buffing motions can be a little bit softer than pressing everything on and then blending. But try both, figure out what makes you more comfortable and go with it. When I get here, I just want to lift and melt the color into the temple where I washed that color before. Now we can go two different directions. We can either do highlight or we can do bronzer. With highlight, you could use a flat matte highlight, or if you want to deviate, create a little bit more contrast, and just to add a little bit of fun, choose a highlight with a low level glimmer or shimmer, something ultra fine. This is not going to be like your glittery highlight for a party. This is going to be a very soft, your skin but better highlight. The one I'm using today is from a Korean beauty brand called Wake Made. This is called the Volume Mix Blurring Highlighter, and this is the shade 01. Soft gold that fades into a peachy bronze. To keep it soft, I'm going to use the same large fluffy brush I did earlier. I'm going to diffuse it into my hand, high on the cheeks. If we look side to side, I'm not adding a lot of glow or shimmer. I'm adding a soft veil of highlight. As you build it up, you will see more of that light reflect come through. So for me, I'm going to leave it at no more than 2 layers, diffuse over the center portion of my face as well. And if you want to, you can take a flat eyeshadow brush and apply that to the inner corner of the eye or any part of your eye that you want to add light. The great thing with this makeup look is once you get the hang of it, it's a very quick process because you are letting singular products really build the face, and then since everything's in this soft diffused watercolor placement, it goes quite quickly. Now I'm going to move on to bronzer, and the bronzer I'm using today is the Laura Mercier Matte Radiance Face Powder in Bronze 03. This is a little bit more of a warm, ready bronze. It might be discontinued. I couldn't find it online to link, but this is just a great opportunity to use a powder already in your collection, or look for a slightly deeper face powder that you can blend with a more rusty terracotta bronze shade to create your own bronzer. I am blending that right over the cheeks. I'm gonna take it right over the forehead. I love a softly bronzed forehead for this look. Over the nose, over the chin, don't leave out the neck. And then I'm gonna go back to my large fluffy blending brush and I'm gonna use my bronzer on my socket line again. This time I'm keeping my brush, it's not as tilted upwards as it was previously. It's a little bit more head on. That way I can keep my shade applied a little bit more. And then when I buff in these circular motions, it will diffuse it. That's just give me a little bit more of a soft gradient. And then here on this outer corner, I'm going to stamp and pull out. That way I can just get a little bit of a lift on this outer corner of the eye. This is a great technique that you can adjust for any seasonal color palette. I'm doing it, say, with these warm autumn colors, but you can do this with anything that you have in your own collection, and you can really customize it to suit the mood, the occasion, the time of the year. You can play with adjusting the shape of the eyeshadow, the shape of the bronzer, how you layer these different colors together. You can do so much. Anything left over, run right over the lower lash line. When I was looking for a blush shade, I have a limited edition product from a few years ago in my collection that I thought would be perfect. This is a Chanel highlighting blush in the shade Peche Rosé, and this is a really vibrant, warm, peachy orange. And this is one of those quintessential warm, true autumn shades. It is just going to help bring in blush of a healthy glow. It's very similar to think back in 2015, 2016. A lot of people were loving the Milani Luminoso. It's that very bright peachy orange shade, but when you couple it with the more warm tan skin that we were experiencing from the self-tan and the warmer ready tones, these soft orange shades really complement the warmer color palette because it brings a liveliness. It's almost a healthy flush to the skin. so far for the face, I've only used this one brush, and that's helping me again to diffuse and create these soft layers of color. Now, something I have in my collection that I really love for these looks, Korean beauty brand called Roman, and this is one of their powder blushers. The formula is called the Better Than Cheek Blush, and the shade is N01 Nutty Nude. It's almost like a pale apricot, my skin tone, but slightly deeper. This is a really lovely, neutral, muted, warm shade that you can use with a small fluffy brush. And if you have an area that you just want to blend out, you can use it as almost like a little eraser just to soften things down. These types of shades and colors in K-beauty, they're called expanding shades. They're to mimic plump, slightly flushed skin. It adds a very youthful, firming effect where it's applied. And this can be great when you're working with a more pigmented shade, or you want to create a gradient, because it's going to be your skin but slightly shifted in one direction or another, and you can use this to softly blur and diffuse anything that you need to. This is also great on the nose if you feel like your typical blush shade just puts a little too much emphasis in the center of your face. You can use these shades to add that harmony to the perimeter but keep it soft, and you can also use it to blur out the edge of your eyeshadow. For every day, I might add on a little bit of gloss. This is an Anastasia Beverly Hills Gloss in Parfait. It's a warm, shimmering orange. In my everyday routine, this is where I would throw on my mascara, but I want to show you how to bump it up. I want to show you how to create more contrast and more visual interest in this look. Here is going to be our everyday look. Let me show you how to build it up for an evening. To build up my look, I'm going to use the Viseart Neutral Matte Palette. I love this because all the shades are matte and they're all leaning slightly warm with the exception of the bottom row. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use that large fluffy brush, and I'm just going to pick whatever color from the top row speaks to me. That is going to be the shade here. When I want to build up my look for day to night and I want to keep it easy, I'm going to go on top of what I already have. I'm going to go up high, use that peachy matte shade, and I want to use this shade just to revive my eyeshadow from earlier in the day. Since I already have some built-in contrast and depth, this is just going to help give it a new life, and it's going to help transition this into my evening look so easily. You can do this next step later, or you can do it now. I'm going to do it now just in case I mess up. It's going to be easier for me to course correct as I go. If you're more confident with pencil eyeliner or powder eyeliner, you can do it later. But for a beginner, someone who's just trying to do this quickly and you don't want to be overly cautious, try doing the eyeliner now. You can use a pencil. I don't have an eyeliner pencil that really suits this palette, so I'm going to use an angled liner brush and one of the shadows. I'm going to use this Ready Brown. Using the shade, I'm going to gently wipe it right over my lash line, and I want to add depth, so I want to keep the focus here on the outer corner and lightly take what's left here to the inner corner. Since we've already powdered, if you get a little bit of fallout, don't worry, we'll go back in just a moment and remove it. Same thing on the other side. When you're working quickly and you don't have a lot of time to refresh, do one side and repeat the same step on the other side instead of doing it all one side then the other. It just tends to be a little bit quicker, and that way if you make a mistake, it's easier to do the same thing and repeat on the other side. Where I got a little bit of fall down, I'm going to use my powder that I used to set my face. And a fluffy brush, I'm going to gently use that to buff any fall down away. Use a very light hand, so that way we don't create a smudge. Now I'm going to go back to my large fluffy brush, and I want to use a slightly deeper shade than I did in this transitional area, but something not as deep as I used here on the liner. So I am going to use a blend of these two shades just to create something that feels right. This is a great step where you could even use your bronzer. Using my brush, I'm going to wipe that right over the lid. And you can see this gave me a lot of color payoff, so that's why I like to use these large fluffy brushes, because if I'm using a flat packing brush, then it might come off too intense and it's going to be pressed to the lid, and it's going to feel a little bit harder and more overwhelming when I'm trying to blend it. Once you have both sides on, look side to side. Just make sure you're as even as you can. It doesn't need to be perfect at this step. Step back from your mirror. Take a full step back if you can. Look straight ahead. Use a very light hand. I like to hold my brush very far down so that way I can use this to gently guide my shadows to where I want them to be. Think about your eyeshadow is like the sheep, and then here is your herder. You just gently want to herd it where you want it to go. It doesn't have to be perfect. Then we're gonna go back to a lighter shade. Whatever shade I used previously, I use this one. I'm gonna go a step lighter, and I'm gonna use this to clean up my edges. Stay back from your mirror. It's gonna make it a lot easier, because if you are not as close to your mirror, you're not gonna hyper focus as much, and it's gonna make the whole process feel a lot easier. You can either go back to your highlighter, or you can go to a softly shimmery eyeshadow. I have this little Viseart palette that I purchased forever ago, and I think it's also been discontinued, but there is 2 shades in this palette I thought were just perfect, and I think this is called the 03 Bridal Satin. We have this yellow and an orange. I'm a game time decision. I'm gonna use the orange with my finger and pat that right over my lid. A shade similar to this that I can think of off the top of my head, there is the shade Pumpkin Spice from Sydney Grace that's really similar, or there's a really beautiful soft orange shimmer in the ColourPop. I think it's called Wild Nude or Sweet Nothing palette. That's really pretty. I'm gonna use a small brush now, and I'm just gonna do this right over where I applied my eyeliner earlier. This is gonna help further blend it out, just to make sure everything is nice and soft. Give the under eyes a gentle pass over. When I'm going out at night, I like to bump up my cheek color. One of my favorite shades for warm true autumn, Clinique Fig Pop in number 10 Fig Pop. I'm gonna use that smaller brush. This shade has quite a bit of color payoff, so I'm gonna apply it to my brush and then blend it out. This is a really beautiful shade for adding a really gorgeous, almost like post-summer flush to the skin. It's almost like a mix of that sun flushed look and like a cozy by the fireplace glow. So pretty. Like, take a little bit here, a little bit on the outer corner of the eye. Let's tie everything together. We can go back to our large powder brush from earlier, sweep over, blend together, keep things feeling nice, soft, and hazy. I'm gonna use my Etude Curl Fix. This is a gray brown shade. If you're looking for a really great true autumn color for mascara, look for a classic brown. Dior does a really nice brown that leads slightly more red. So any brown will work well, but there are some browns that lean a little bit warmer, a little bit cooler. I found Dior leans slightly warmer. You could even use black brown if you want a little bit extra contrast to draw some more emphasis into the eye area. Mascara just makes such a big difference to a makeup look. I really like how everything has come together for this look. I want to add a little bit of definition to my lips, so I'm going to use the Lisa Eldridge Enhancing Pencil in the shade Fawn to reinforce my border. Let's give our lipstick another one over. I find it very amazing. As I'm going through and warming up my complexion, my hand comes up and you can just see how much more warmth I've added to my collection than my body. It's quite shocking, but I like how everything has come together, and I love, this is the best I feel like Fawn has ever looked on me. Really, I really like this. For a fun evening occasion, especially with a look like this that's more matte, I love adding a lot of gloss. That way there's just something that isn't matte. There's like some sort of focal feature, and let it be a nice glossy lip. Especially if it's a date night, you want to draw the attention towards your lips. So let's finish off the look with one of my favorite things in the world, and I have a few options that are perfect for the seasonal color palette. Let's get into some warm, true autumn fragrances. When I was sorting through my collection, trying to think of what fragrance really spoke to me for the season, the first thing that came to mind is the Maison Margiela Replica Autumn Vibes. This fragrance I have had for quite a while, and I used to really enjoy it. My taste and preferences in fragrance have changed changed a lot over the last few years, and I tried it the other day, and this fragrance is just a little too much for me now. It's a very warm, cozy, spicy autumn scent. It is gorgeous. To my nose, it leans a little bit more heavy, a little bit more masculine. There's almost something like a spicy leatheriness. If that doesn't mind, if you like something that definitely feels warm, spicy, slightly unisex, you might really, really enjoy this. For me, this is a scent that I don't love on myself anymore, but I like it on my husband. For my scent combo of the day, I'm gonna actually be layering two. So I'm gonna start off with Juliet Has a Gun Sunny Side Up. This is a really beautiful, creamy sandalwood scent. It's warm, it's fresh, it has a little bit of a creaminess from the sandalwood, and it's like your skin but better with a creamy, lush edge. And what I love is that since it has that musky dry down, it really clings to the skin and lasts. And I like to take it a little bit sweeter, so one of my favorite scents to layer with it is from Ariana Grande. This is the Ariana Grande Mod Vanilla. This is a fun, fluffy marshmallow. It's sweet, it's fluffy. It almost reminds me of, what is it, like the marshmallow fluff that you can buy in the containers, but it has a slightly floral edge to it. It's almost like that coupled with a nice powdery floral, maybe a hint of tonka bean as well. It's so gorgeous. Another last minute add-in, and this is something I've been wearing a lot recently to bed, and it's one of the fragrances from my husband collection. Funny enough, this is from the brand Soli Notes, and this is called Amande or Almond, and this is a gorgeous fragrance. I tried it a few nights ago before going to bed. All of my husband's fragrances, they live on our dresser, and that way as he steps out of his washroom, he can just grab one off the dresser, mist it on, and go. And I was smelling this, and I was like, the dent in the bottle wasn't big, so clearly this one doesn't get worn very often, so I'm like, oh, I'll wear it. And when I smelled it out of the bottle, I noticed a really beautiful warmth. Again, it's kind of creamy, it has a gentle nuttiness to it. And that first night I sprayed it on my wrist. Before bed, I do one spray, maybe two at the max. And it was a little too heavy for me then, but the following night I sprayed it once behind my knee, and it was gorgeous. So every night since then, I do one spray of this behind my knee, and it's so, so good. You don't really smell it, but as you're just like settling in, this beautiful warm comes up, and it just smells like a warm blanket out of the dryer. It's warm, it's cozy, it's cocooning, and best of all, this is affordable here in Canada at Shepherd's Drug Mart. I believe these retail for like $25, and 50 ml bottles, I thought it was gonna say 30 ml, 50 ml bottle for around $25. Really good. The lasting power on here isn't great. I would say it's about 3 hours, and you can still faintly smell it until like the 5 or 6 hour mark, but this is a nice size you keep in your bag refreshed. You could decant it, and the lasting power doesn't really bother me because it is quite affordable. It's on par with what you'd pay for a Bath & Body Works body spray, but this lasts longer. It has a really beautiful warmth to it. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I hope you enjoyed seeing my take on a warm, true autumn makeup look, tickling and tapping with some nods to some of the upcoming trends we have for fall 2025. I really enjoyed it. I love being able to put out some of the warmer things for my collection and give them a little spotlight, a day in the light to share with you a look if you are looking for something new to try. If this is a look you're interested in trying, let me know what tips and tricks you want to try, and let me know if you have a favorite warm, cozy lip color. It doesn't have to be a warm autumn lip color, any color. Let me know your favorite autumn lipstick that makes you feel nice, warm, and cozy as we go from the warmer days of summer to the cooler days of fall, winter. Until we see each other again, I hope you're taking care of yourself wherever it is you're on the world, and I will see you later. Bye, y'all.